Hey, get Rooster right out of the gate. I swear he must be here for the live. He knows what time it is. It's Wednesday at 1:30 sharp Pacific time. It's actually 3:30 for me and the Rooster. All right, waiting for the sister. There she is. Approve. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. We're adding her. We've already had some. Oh, I was like, we've already had some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
No promises.
it
But
tried to kick me off. It tried to be like, you're not rotated, but I was. I was
how
rotated.
dare you tell me how rotated I am?
I know how rotated I am.
I'm appropriately rotated. Thank you so much.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Amanda, I need to talk to you. You're going to be our special guest in a couple weeks. Hi, girl.
Not
Let's
to put you
chat
on the
about
spot
that.
or anything.
I'm just calling you out. We're
Call it
excited
like
to
I see
have a
it.
chat with you. Hey, Carrie
Totally.
Ann. Hey, Karen. Hey, everybody.
Welcome,
How's it going?
welcome. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Kind of a cool
Cool.
thing since last time. Wendy and I, whether we liked it or not, we've become a meme. Or a
Oh,
GIF
yeah.
or a something. I'm not sure, but we're something.
We're something. Some person I don't know
Hmm.
used a screenshot of us as a reaction meme to like a murder trial article.
That's why
Hmm
we're not
hmm
sure if it's good or bad. We
I
don't
know.
know.
My friend told me, she like sent me a screenshot. This girl is using your faces as like a GIF or yeah, or a meme. I was like, I don't know if I'm like insulted or if like I'm famous.
We're trending. I think that's what that means.
Yeah, I think it means you guys are in the right spot on Wednesdays.
So speaking of, as you're jumping on, let us know where you're coming on from. City, state, how's the weather? It's finally starting to be beautiful around here. So Dylan's been stupid sick the last couple of days. So I haven't
Mm,
enjoyed it, but he's better today.
that's
And
good.
we got outside, and the temperature is just so lovely. What about how's it like where you are, When?
It's hot here. We're having a
Really?
little bit of a heat wave, but it's always, they anticipate it's going to be, I mean, a heat wave means we're getting into the 90s. So like 91, 92. That's like really hot here.
Sure.
And so I know in California it's like 100 and something, and they're like, yep,
Not
it's
right
pretty
now.
hot.
Not
That's good.
now.
But every time they say that, it doesn't even get that hot because the hot weather creates storms. So then
Okay.
it cools down. So yesterday, I think the high was 87, even though it was supposed to be like 91. Didn't get there.
Gotcha, gotcha.
We'll post the meme. I'll post the meme. People are curious
Oh,
to see.
I can't even
I
find
got
it. I
it.
looked for it.
Oh,
Like
it was
to
sent to me as a screenshot. So I've just got the screenshot of it
I
existing.
tried to find the context of like was it good or bad or like meant to be a statement. Anyway, there was like 5,000 comments on that post, so I was just scrolling and scrolling and I'm like, "You know what? I actually don't care that much." Like
No,
I whatever and I guess we'll just take it as a sign that we're doing something right even if they're
we're
being negative.
famous. We're internet famous.
So anyway, guys, without further ado, this is What Do We Know with Wen and Wit. It's our weekly Wednesday segment where we bring perspective, inspiration, and education about some hot topics and try and meet somewhere in the middle. Last week we got a little bit heavy, so today we're taking it back a notch. We're reeling it back. Um, and
We're
Wendy,
lightening it up. We
yes.
don't reel anything back. We're just
Well,
lightening it up.
we're lightening it up. I am Whitney, and I am mom to Dylan, and 25 weeks pregnant with baby number two. Love my fur baby Rizzo, love my husband, and I am a small business owner in Northern California.
I am also a wife and a mom. I have 3 kids and 3 dogs. I homeschool. That's a new thing I don't usually tell you guys. Um,
You have a
I'm a
6 year
blogger.
old now?
I do. I have a 6 year old. I mean, I've had one in the past, but now I have another one.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and it's my birthday this week.
Woo! On
Uh,
Sunday, right?
on Sunday, yeah. And
All
I'm
right.
also a blogger and an author. I'm almost done with my first book. We're going to talk a little bit about that next week. And then I have a blog, gainingmyperspective.com, folks. Go over and check it out. I'm going to post tonight a new blog. And actually, I'm going to link a blog to the comments here that's going to be relevant to the subject matter we're going to talk about today. So make sure you catch that one too. And subscribe to my newsletter if you want once a month to have a critical thought come into your email. That's all I bug you with. So there's my shameless plug.
All right.
Audience participation. Well, first
Today.
we'll tell you what we're talking about.
You go.
I'm jumping ahead. Okay. You go. No, I go. You go. Today we're talking about traveling with kids. Traveling with kids, whether they're your own children or maybe a niece or nephew, or you're helping out as you're traveling as a family, a sibling maybe. Traveling with kids can be a little tricky, but I do feel like I've learned so much over the years doing this. Whether by car, by boat, by plane. We're going to talk about
by boat.
age. By boat. I did take my kids on a cruise, and I don't recommend that.
So the tip is don't.
Well, not at that age. I mean, I was pregnant and I had a 2-year-old Merritt and a 4-year-old Cadence. 2-year-old Merritt, you shouldn't leave the house. And also I was 34 weeks pregnant, and you're supposed to be no more than 22 weeks pregnant. So I had to sign a waiver that I was no more than 22 weeks pregnant. Nobody asked any questions. If you know me, you know I carry large. And it was my third baby. So I was like, yeah, I'm 22 weeks. Like, what of it? And all of these things were a mistake.
That's the restriction on a cruise is 22 weeks?
Yeah, you have to be less than 22 weeks, at least for Royal Caribbean. It may be different on other cruise lines, but
interesting.
I totally get
fascinating.
it. Because, I mean, quite frankly, I knew I had to have a C-section. Like, what are they going to do on a boat if I go into labor? And 34 weeks is like pushing it. And Gage was born at 38 weeks. So, like, you know, that was a tricky trick.
Sure.
It was too hot and too much, and I nearly threw Merritt overboard like multiple times. So just don't. That's all I'm going to give you as advice for going on a boat. But we're going to talk a little bit more constructively about the other trips and plane trips.
Audience participation. Do you travel with your kiddos often, or is it something that you try to avoid? Obviously, you can't avoid it sometimes, but would you rather not travel with your kids, or is it something you enjoy? And also, we have our topic decided for next week, but we do definitely want to hear feedback. So if something's on your heart that you want to talk about, that you want to hear feedback on, you want to hear our opinion, drop it in the comments below.
Boom. Drop it.
So traveling with kids, why do you think it's important to do?
So, well, first of all, this all came to light because every time I post pictures on social media of me en route somewhere with a child or many children or whatever, I get just onslaught of like, bless you, I couldn't, oh my gosh,
totally,
I would never do that, you know, like all these things of I would never go there and do that. And I'm like, whoa, you guys are missing out. So I do feel like it's really important to travel with kids. And I don't mean like teenage kids, I mean like all aged kids, because obviously like teenagers, yeah, they're kids, but like they're basically adult humans, you know, like
they're self-sufficient.
If you can pee by yourself on an airplane, I'm talking about younger than that, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual children. You should travel them up. Yes, Mariah's nailing it right now, basically, that you've got to train them, right? You've got to like expose them to a lot of stuff. But I guess this philosophy, I've actually said it 3 times in the last 24 hours. I don't know why this has happened, but I've been asked for parenting advice like 3 different times by 3 different people. And my advice is invite your kids into your life as opposed to make your life about your kids. Ooh. Right? I think that's like just really good. If you want to live a very balanced, well-rounded parent dynamic, like not too crazy focused, keep your marriage healthy, all those things, you've got to invite your kids into your life as it is, right?
Sure.
I'm seeing lots of people that travel travel with their kiddos, that's great news.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. It's
But
not
yeah,
as
they
scary as
learn.
people think it is either. I mean, like it's
No,
manageable. There's some anxiety, but it's manageable, right?
it's going to go as well as you anticipate, just like anything else. It's all a mindset thing, really. I mean, if
True.
you think it's going to be chaotic, just like anything, right? Then it's going to be chaotic. If you're stressed, if you go in stressed, it's going to be stressful. But if you go in with a sense of humor about it, probably you're at least going to be like, yep, it's a little crazy, but I'm laughing about it, like it's kind of funny. But yeah, kids learn so much through experience, you guys. Like I mean, both kids and adults retain so much more information. They're in such a better state to learn when they're activated in some capacity, and that means
Hmm.
just change of their natural state. Like, so when people are, Tony Robbins is big on this, you guys. If you're sitting and taking notes, that's like the least likely place where you're going to actually retain anything you're hearing.
Totally.
And so literally every 5 minutes or less, that Tony Robbins has you stand up and dance around, because to change your physicality like re-engages your mind. So anytime you're breaking your kids out of the norm and doing something different, they're engaged so much more, they're learning so much more, their synapses are all firing in a different way. It's super positive, right? What
Hmm.
are your thoughts on it? Why do you think it's important?
Well, yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, sorry, my child is crying, so that's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
But
It happens.
statistically speaking, they've done like the research that the best way to learn is hands-on. So when you
For
can be
sure.
hands-on in the actual atmosphere in which you're taking all this stuff in, like you're gonna retain that information. You're gonna be more enthralled by what's going on. And again, you might be surprised how well your kids do behave because they're so engaged in a new environment, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
fascinated with what's going on. Who doesn't want to be on a
Totally.
plane? Like, I mean, I get scared of planes, but like, who doesn't want to like see what that's like, right? A kid, that's so fascinating to them.
Totally. And you're right. Like, it's out of their normal, so their behavior will not necessarily be what you fear it will be.
Sure.
They'll be overwhelmed as well, which tends to make kids like subdue a little bit, be a little bit like more in observing mode. Some kids. But I joke because we're on the road a lot, like road tripping with our
Hmm.
camper often. And I mean, my kids have been in more than 30 states. I mean, more than probably almost 40 states. Like, we
That's
have done
impressive.
a lot of road tripping, and we're
Right.
about to hit the road next month for 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, and do a little bit more. And my husband's truck does not have a radio in it. We do not, it's an old truck. There's no DVDs. We
Hmm.
have one iPad in our family. I have 3 children. Um, and people just like freak out about this. I don't think I could ever drive cross country. I couldn't even drive 5 hours, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, you can. And we did it as kids. Like, we didn't
Hmm.
have the digital stuff. Like, we just looked out the window, like
Right.
we drew pictures. We listened to music on a Walkman or what, like it was um, so different, and we managed fine. But what I have found is actually my family is the best, most bonded, least arguments, least conflict between my husband and I, and between me and the kids, between the kids with each other. We have the least behavior issues when we're on the road. Isn't that kind of funny? Like, to think of us being bottled up in a truck like the majority of the time during the day, that's like when we're at our best as a family. So
Sounds like fight or flight to me. I mean, you have to make it work, right?
totally. But I
So
also,
go ahead.
you want them to be bold and not have fear of or anxiety of traveling themselves as kids and
Sure.
adults, right? Like, I want my kids to feel confident getting on a plane, traveling, and that's why I had to start doing it by myself a lot too. Just going on a plane by myself was terrifying.
Yeah.
um, Navigating an airport, layovers, like renting a car, all of these things when I first started to do them were just very overwhelming and scary. But the more you do it, of course, the easier it is. I would way rather do it with my kids a couple times before they're 21 and doing it on their own,
Right.
just helping them. Like we talked about either last week or the week before that, we're not raising kids, we're raising adults, right? So how can you prepare them for the adult world where they may be traveling a lot for their work or for pleasure, for whatever?
Oh, totally. That nailed it on the head, 100%, that they need to be exposed to like what it's like to set themselves up for success later on in life, right? Because
For sure.
it's hard to go through life without traveling at all. I mean, you won't have
Yeah.
a very exciting life if you just stay in, behind your walls. So, what is the right age to travel in your opinion, or is there one?
I think
I agree.
all is the right age. I took my 5 week old to Maui. Um, that's a long plane ride, like that's a
Yeah.
long time. That's a trip that's far away from home. And it was great. I think sometimes they're easier the younger they are, right? In a lot of
Hmm.
ways. I would say the most challenging age, and you can maybe agree, is that right when they're learning to walk age.
Yes.
Because they just want to get out of the seat, whether it's
Yes.
car or plane. That's a really challenging age. So you just got to be more intentional and strategic with that plan.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, pro tip, before they're two, they're free on planes. So like take advantage of that,
Totally.
right?
It's funny. We went on a flight about a month ago, and it was Dylan's last flight before he turned two. And both
Oh,
of us were like, oh, it is well worth the price of a third ticket because, oh my gosh, he is
so
so
true.
squiggly and he
Hmm.
needs so much attention and he was knocking stuff around. And we're happy. We're going to Maui next month, and we're really happy that we have a third ticket,
Oh, you are.
third seat. Yes, that is going to be
Yes.
so much easier. And a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm going on my first flight with my 2 month old, 6 month old, year old. Like, what are your tips and stuff?" And to me, I was nervous, but it was so easy. They slept
Yeah,
the whole time.
totally. They're
Airplane
super easy as babies.
Airplane is a natural noise machine. Like it's the best. Um,
It is. And they don't even know they're off the ground.
yeah,
They're not
exactly.
freaking out at all. Yeah,
No.
totally. Jen says Max started flying at 4 weeks. Totally. So what's funny now is I have 3 kids and they're all over two. And so if you fly on Southwest, which I do always, that's three. That now I'm not in the row with my own children. That's actually an interesting age when Gage was just old enough to be in his own seat, but that meant that now I can't be in their seat. And
Hmm.
it's easy if I fly with my husband because then my husband and the boys will sit over there and me and Kay will sit over here. But if it's just me and the kids, you have a choice to make. Choose wisely.
Oh
You have three
man.
kids and you're either across the aisle, which of course is best, I think, because then you can see what they're doing, pass them things and such. But if the plane goes down, you're going to be attached to your own mask and you can't help them
Oh
across the
man.
aisle. A flight attendant pointed this out to me and I was like, that's true, but I'm going to go ahead and bank on best case scenario for this flight. I'm going to sit over here. So you have to
So
choose if you're
what
going to
would
sit
you do
behind them
instead? Oh,
yeah,
behind.
or in front,
Oh,
like,
gotcha, gotcha.
and you could still pass things back and such, but like, I don't know. I like to have my eyes on them at all times.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I would prefer
you
that
got to
also.
choose. You got to choose.
That's
I also say,
interesting.
don't worry. People often don't want to take their kids places because they're too young and they're not going to remember. And I'm like, BS. First of all, nothing's promised. We don't know if tomorrow's coming. So,
Hmm.
like, do it now. Like, don't wait. Make memories for yourself with your family because you'll remember whether they do or don't. Gage had been to Disney 2 times before he was 1 years old. I am fully aware he does not remember Disney. But for me, I get to see him experience Disney for the first time like 7 times
Right. Right. It's
because he
pretty
doesn't
great.
remember. Right? So you get that benefit. Like we're quizzing our kids now. Like, do you guys remember when we went to Yellowstone? And Cadence does what Merritt does. And I'm like, perfect. We should go again then because Merritt will see it all again for the first time. Like, I remember him seeing it for the first time, but he doesn't. So I get to like have those memories all over again. Total pro, not a downside. Go do things
So
for sure.
let's go through general travel tips, like not specific to a certain mode of transportation. And you wrote here, don't rest on the iPad or iPhone. So I just want, because I tend to, I gravitate towards that as my safety net.
I tend to use that as a emergency plan because what if it runs out of batteries? What if it doesn't work? What if you can't get it online? What if the Wi-Fi doesn't work? If that's your only plan, like you're
Sure.
up a creek. You're up a
Okay.
creek. And I have been on plane rides where I'm like, that was my plan. And then whatever happened, my iPad's too old and wouldn't work or whatever. And I was like, ah! So don't make it your plan A. Plus there's like a million other things that you can do with your kids on planes because it's new and exciting. You can like get them to do things that they probably wouldn't do at home, like color for 2 hours, because it's different and it's on a plane and they have these little tables that come down. It's all exciting, right? So you can do a bunch of different things. Plus, once you have more than one kid, you can't do multiple earphones.
Right. Well,
So,
you can, but you can
do
get a
two.
splicer. Yeah, right.
I have 3 children.
Yes.
So I can induce a lot of arguments on the plane. Or I can, yes, exactly. Carrie Ann says, cannot be the only plan, for sure. I will allow them to watch it, but they don't have any sound, right? Like they're just watching it without sound,
Right.
which is fine. Like it is what it is, but it's just not the best tool. Or I think we
Sure.
often default to that, but it doesn't have to be the best tool. But I will say, if you are going to do that, there usually is an app you need to play any sort of
Free
videos on the phone or on
Mhm.
the plane, and you need to download that before you get in the air. This I learned the hard way also. You cannot download
Good
apps
tip.
in the air, so that's not going to work for you. So my mother-in-law gave me this idea. She's brilliant, and she, every time we travel, she usually packed it for us, but whether it be road or air, have a little backpack full of wrapped gifts, like new things,
Like what
that-
kinds of things?
like coloring things, maybe one car they can drive around,
Okay, gotcha,
you know,
gotcha.
games that they can play, maybe one thing of Play-Doh, like whatever.
No Play-Doh.
That, no, that might be good for a car when we don't have to worry about other people's
Yeah.
things getting around. But, or a book. And it doesn't have to be all new things. Sometimes just the action of opening the present is exciting enough to make a thing they already have at home, like extra
Sure.
special and cool. And you don't give it all at once. Like you play with one thing and then like you wait half an hour and then like, here's another, special thing. Like it's all
Super
exciting.
good idea.
We do that on the road every time, and it's like super fun. They totally look forward to it, and it keeps like it's bribe. Like I'm not going to give you another present if you guys don't stop acting like that. Whatever, like it's
Mhm.
total bribery, which I fully am. And I think somebody mentioned road trip games.
Totally.
There's totally games.
Oh, the
like
I
bingo.
Spy games. There's
Oh, yeah, like books that do that, right?
yeah, well, there's I Spy books, but you can say like I spy something brown on the side of the road, and it's a cow or
Yeah.
whatever. We used to play the slug bug game. There's not that many of those
There
anymore.
are not. Somebody's getting a whooping if we see a slug. Boom.
And that's
Yeah, I do that to
exactly
Tom.
how Wendy used to do that to me in the back seat. She did not hold back at all.
No, you just got to seize the moment.
But you can play like the license plate game, look for different license plates. Like there's so many engaging games for kids that like they'll be so honed in on winning or on getting the first to the answer, Categories is a fun one when the kids are a little bit older. So yeah, lots of fun games that we play.
Airport stores and like gas station type like stores that are like the truck stop type locations on the road, they have games and different things that are geared towards travel. So that's
Sure.
super helpful because we have road trip bingo that we bought on the road, and that will keep my kids entertained on the road for like 2 hours playing road trip bingo. Like, do you see a power line, a stop sign, and you try to get
yeah.
bingo or whatever. Oh, they love that.
Nice.
Oh, and I love the magic pen coloring books. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's one pen
Yeah.
and it colors
Colors all the colors.
This is the smartest thing for traveling ever in life because you can't have every color going all over the airplane or in your car.
I mean,
'Cause
this
they
is
will
how
go
I color with
those
Dylan
places.
almost exclusively. It's with magics. Because because it's too hard otherwise. He gets
Because.
very explorative. Walls, tables, everything's, I guess, up for grabs if you have crayons out. So magic pens
For sure.
for traveling is amazing.
Yep.
You made a good note here. No small pieces when you bring stuff because they will get lost and your kids will lose their ish if they don't have all the pieces to their Monopoly set or whatever it is.
Yep. So
Learn that
true.
one the hard way.
No
And
open drink
snacks?
containers of any kind. Yeah,
No.
lots of snacks. This, I don't know why I thought, oh, it'll be easier if I have a drink with a straw. That's not easier. Like a
Need a lid.
to-go cup with a straw. Do you know what I'm No, even if it has a lid on it,
Oh,
it's garbage because it gets kicked over and it spills. Like you need a
yeah.
beverage that can get kicked over and does not spill. I don't know. I've learned this the hard way. Also, bring extra clothes. Like even if your kids are potty trained, or I mean, I know my friend Tori Micaiah, way past when he was potty trained, for whatever, like they don't think ahead, and then it's you can't get out of the plane or you can't get out of your seat because the plane's landing, and then you have an
Right.
accident, and then you don't have any clothes because your kid doesn't need extra clothes. Just bring extra clothes. Gage did this to
I
me.
was going to
I think
say, you have
Merritt
a
did
great
this to me.
story
Oh my
about
gosh,
Gage when
Gage
you
blew
flew.
up his pants, and I did bring an extra set of clothes. And let me tell you, that flight attendant was such a gem. It was just me and Gage, and he was like 18 months old. So I think maybe he still was in diapers, but he was up the whole back. And I'm
Oh,
in
God.
the tiny bathroom, and I'm just like, lady, I'm going to just keep this door open, and I'm going to stand here, and I'm just going to hand you things to throw into a garbage, right? Like, I can't be enclosed in here with this situation. I threw away all his clothes, everything. Like, everything was just thrown away. And then I had an extra set. Well, he did it again. I had one
Oh,
extra set of
no.
clothes. So on our layover in Vegas, I had to buy a $25 Vegas onesie to get him all the rest of the way home. So again, extra clothes. Plus, kids get cold on the plane. You want to have a sweater, blanket, whatever.
I don't know if
Okay.
this is a fact, but on every Southwest flight I've gone on with Dylan, the changing table is in the front bathroom.
Yes, it
So that's
is.
good to know too, because I have gone with a poopy butt kid to the back of the plane because the front of the
It's
plane
not
had a
back there.
line. It wasn't back there. Then I'm like just wafting his scent all over the plane. It's just not good. I think it's always in the front. Don't quote me on that. I think it's in the
It
front.
is always in the front if it exists. It doesn't always exist.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah,
wild.
that's tough. It's just really awkward and tough.
Which brings us to our other tip that we already mentioned. Have a sense of humor. Like, lose your expectations because it might not go as planned, but it's okay. You're going to work through it.
And it's going to be good stories.
Totally. So, road trip specific and airplane specific, and then we'll wrap it up. What are our tips?
Road trips, gosh, you got to plan to stop like every couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to not plan more than 5, 6 hours maybe, um, on any given day, no matter how far we're traveling. Like we won't go more than that unless we plan to drive into the evening when they're asleep in their car seat. Sometimes we'll do that
Sure.
where we'll drive, eat dinner, get brush teeth, get in our jammies, put in the car seat. We know they're going to fall asleep in about 2 hours, and then we can drive another 2 hours or whatever after they're asleep. That's a tip. But otherwise, you've got to don't plan too much. We're going to St. Louis next week. That's only 5.5 hour drive. We're spending the night. Like we're just going to leave late one night, get
Mm-hmm.
3 hours there, spend the night, and then we only have 2 hours. Just make it a joy whenever you can. And, if it is like something that you can split up. And if you are road tripping with a camper, as an example, Walmarts are free. You can park in a Walmart parking lot
Mm,
for free. And if it's midnight or 1, no one cares. No one knows. You don't know. Trust me, I'm not the girl that wants to park in a Walmart parking lot, but I will do it if it's 1 a.m. and I don't care. I'm like, or spend $40 for like I'm just going to be in my camper sleeping and leave in the morning. Total
right.
good tip for road trips. Also, there's a museum in every town that ever was. So Google the town that's coming up and see if there's anything fun to do and make it a learning experience. Like we love museums. Oftentimes they're free or really cheap. Super good way
Sure.
to like not just stop and eat, because that's what we usually do or we think we should do is stop and eat, but then they go from sitting in the car to having to sit at the restaurant, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like that doesn't actually help in the make road trips fun and exciting and don't make them hate it. So do something where they have to stand up, right? Like, um,
Get their
I
wiggles
also,
out.
national parks, state parks, recreation areas, those are all great places to like grab food and take it to eat it there and let the kids run
Mm-hmm.
around while you eat your food, get their energy out, go for a hike. Like, those are all great things for me. Do you have any tips?
Totally. Well, just, consider putting a pull up on your kid, even if they're potty trained, just because you might not know where the next rest stop is. It might be too long. And sometimes kids just got to go when they got to go. And so
Mm,
it's almost in your best interest, in everyone's best interest. You can work on it when you get home if that's like, you know, an issue. But snacks again, snacks and snacks and snacks always help. And if
snacks.
your kid gets motion sick in the car, I read that if they have something to keep them focused, that can help immensely. So whether, if they can read, having something to read or color, or, some sort of game downloaded on your phone or an iPad or something like that could be really beneficial to kids who get motion sick. So, and
It
then
works the opposite for adults.
I know. Oh God, yeah, definitely. But for airplane travel, my main tip for little kids, kids that are on a bottle or breastfed, is to breastfeed or offer a bottle at takeoff and landing. That has been like the most important piece of advice that I've gotten for little babes, because they can't pop their ears. So when you go up to altitude and their eardrums are feeling a lot of the pressure, if they have that sucking motion, that usually does the trick for them. And so that was very, very valuable. Take off and landing, pop a boob out, pop a bottle out, whatever you're comfortable with.
Or a
And
passy, yeah.
yeah, passy works too. So that was my
Amanda
saving
says
grace.
Dramamine for kids. Apparently, I've never given that to my kids, but they also say Benadryl can be good for kids if you just want to subdue them. But try that ahead of time, because sometimes Benadryl makes kids more hyper, which is the case for Merritt, which will shock you if you know Merritt. So that's not going to work for me. We also, suckers, when kids are a little bit older with the ear popping thing, you can get those little tiny, you know what I'm talking about, like that you get at the post office or
Like
whatever.
the
Just those little,
dum-dums or
yes,
something.
exactly. You can get a bag of them, and they know they get it at takeoff and landing. Just, my kids are older, but just it still helps with that. Um, my advice too is I know that sometimes people like look for red eye flights, but my experience has said that's a terrible plan, because kids never sleep when I expect them to sleep on the plane. Like, you have a short layover and a long layover, they're going to sleep on the short layover and be awake the whole long time. Like, it's just going to work that way. So if you're planning on them sleeping overnight, like, not great. And I'm having to do that on the way home from Maui this year in January. So we'll see how that goes. But that was the only option I had. So we'll see how that goes. But my kids actually love waking up early, like 4 a.m, to go get on a plane. Like, they just love it. Like, every time I'm like, oh, we're going to go to, we're going to go to Maui. Do we get to wake up early? That's weird, because you don't like to wake up early in real life, but they like that. So maybe your kids have something that's super exciting for them that, will work in your favor, because that works for me when we have an early flight. They're all about it.
Sure. And taking your kids pee at the airport instead of on the airplane, because the airplane is a very small place, and you'd be surprised when turbulence is afoot and you can't get your kid out, and X, Y, and Z, there's a long line. There's so many variables that if you can just control what you can, and having them go pee before, it can really save you a lot of stress on the airplane.
I think too, like, my kids know that if they request, I need to go potty, I'm gonna have to believe them some of the time. And so, especially my little one, once he figured out, when he said he had to go potty, that I would get him out of his seat and take him somewhere, he had to go potty the whole rest of the time. So, like, if you can just avoid that, then they won't even know they're allowed to get out of their seat at all, ever, because they think they're allowed to all of a sudden, right? Which, of course, sitting by the back of the plane, there's a bathroom back at the back of the plane, but they will not let you stand up in the aisles in the front of a plane. But they will towards the back if the seatbelt signs off. So if your kid is restless or whatever, and you want to just stand up, bounce them or whatever, back of the plane. And I know
kids
that's not ideal for like getting on and off, but
kids love meeting the pilot. That's another thing that you can ask for, and the pilot is always gracious most of the time to, show the kids as if they were pilots. It's super fun. Bring a
They'll
stroller.
let them sit right up there these days.
I know. Bring a stroller.
Definitely
you definitely want a stroller. Umbrella strollers work great. because they're not as bulky and hard to carry around, but they are functional. And you can check a stroller at the gate. So you can literally have it up until you walk onto the plane, which is very, very helpful. A lot of people didn't know about gate check. Right. Right. So
especially if you're traveling by yourself, a stroller, like with your kids, a stroller will double as a luggage carrier. You can pile things on your stroller and make your kids walk. What you were going to say, car seats.
Oh, it just froze for me, but here we are. Car seat can be checked, and it doesn't count towards your bag. So I didn't know that before having kids. But if you get a car seat cover for extra storage, so the car seat cover keeps the car seat like safe from getting tossed around, right, when they check it. But if you get a car seat cover, they're usually insanely large. And so what we do is we put Dylan's bag inside of the car seat, like on the seat of the car seat, and then put it in the car seat cover. They never have checked it. They've never had an issue with it. And it's way less, it's way less stuff to think about. So that's my big tip.
That's a good one.
And then Wendy, what's your last tip? I love it.
Well, strollers are also free to be checked too. And a lot of people fly with pack and plays. Most places have pack and plays. Most hotels have pack and plays or cribs of some sort, so you don't have to fly with that. My
your
best
wine tip is my favorite.
I don't know if you know, but you can and you should order wine with a lid and a straw on an airplane. And I will order apple juice, and wine, lid, straw for all, please. And it's the only way to do it. And you should drink wine on a plane if you're flying with children. You're not flying the plane, so you can. And I can't think of a more appropriate time to drink, quite honestly.
What a great note to end on. So that's our tips for travel. But gracious. It's only our opinion. It's only what we know. We don't know everything. If you guys have some tips we didn't cover, let us know in the comments below. We would love to, share all the communal knowledge we can. Just a quick reminder, we have a YouTube channel. You can access it from Wendy's blog, the gainingmyperspective.com, or you can search for us on YouTube at when ampersand, the and sign, wit.
I'll never get it.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And then next week, we will be talking about faith. So Wendy and I have pretty different opinions about that. So it'll make for an interesting conversation that I hope you guys will join us for.
Yeah. All right, guys. Happy Wednesday.
Have a great day.